I wonder, when was the last time you had a powerful conversation with your parents or with your children? With your children, if you have kids, with your parents, especially if they're still around for you to follow up with them. Powerful conversations can bring huge breakthroughs for you and your mental and emotional health, your maturity, and basically your healing and freedom. So, the story behind this is that as Father's Day was coming, and you might remember I made a Father's Day video and I posed some questions you might ask. But the questions I'm going to give you today are on a whole other level. So, what happened is, I'm a pastor as well as a coach. I pastor at Restoration Church in Denver. A shout out to Restoration Church. And our pastor there, Jason Soderstrom, brought a wonderful Father's Day message. And I told him when I said goodbye that morning, he said, I think you just changed my Father's Day. And he may have changed my relationship with my boys. So, again, tip of the hat to Jason on that. But I heard that message, and then in between services, I was talking to, one of my friends who gave me permission to write this question or this statement down. She said she shared with her adult daughter. And she said, if there's any trauma I may be dealing with that therefore you have to deal with, you're invited to share that with me and know in advance that I'm sorry. I thought that was such a powerful statement to make to a grown child who's an adult. And I thought about the power that that could have in a relationship. As I listened to the next version of Jason's sermon, and as I wrote down kind of a baker's dozen, about a dirty dozen of questions that I headed up. Questions I might ask my dad, but it's also questions I might ask myself about my relationship with him, and also questions I might invite my sons to ponder and ask me if they wanted to. And over our barbecue meal, our grilled chicken sandwiches and burgers, that afternoon, they and their partners and Bonnie, we sat together, and as they were ready to share their praises and kindnesses to me about me as a dad, I said, first, I want to tell you about my musings, and I want to read my questions, which I did. And here they are. What might I have missed with my dad? What do I wish I had heard from him? What was more important to my dad than me? What wound did my dad carry? What was my dad's relationship with his dad like? What weakness plagued my dad, and how might I have suffered for it? What do I want to ask my dad? What conversation between us could heal me, strengthen me, or set me free? What would be the topics? What might I want to or need to say? What might I want to or need to hear? So those questions, I read them to my sons with their partners alongside them. And it led to, they did not destroy me with, oh, I'm glad you asked, here I come. They didn't come after me in any way like that. They were very, very appreciative. Our conversations were very tender, very teary. There were hugs and embraces. And I felt like we took our own relationship, which is rich already, to another level. And I got to have the same conversation with my oldest son, who's in Los Angeles. And so we did it over the phone, but that was a pretty significant Father's Day. I'd like to encourage you to ponder any and all of those questions for yourself, for your relationship with your own parents, especially if they're alive, for you to follow up with. It's possible that you could have a conversation like this. I know how difficult relationships are. And then I think about you as a parent now. One day in the future, perhaps you might have a conversation with any of your children where you invite them to your own version of these questions. And if you know where this is heading, you might live your life in such a way that there's the maximum of tenderness and joy and love and the minimum of regret. It's just what Stephen Covey called to begin with the end in mind. So I give you these questions for your own ponderings. I would love to hear your thoughts, comments, or questions about them. Feel free to write me, but it would mean a lot to me if you could leave any kind of a comment here in the YouTube video, and you subscribe to my channel if you like it, and share this video if you feel like there's somebody who benefit from it. Lots of love to you. God bless you, and we'll talk to you soon.